I have done about 4 hours of various audio media talking about the 49ers-Rams game.
Yeah.
I've done several posts about it at NinersWire.com. And I will confidently say that, in my opinion, the 49ers 27-24 loss to the Rams yesterday at SoFi Stadium was the single worst loss of the Kyle Shanahan era, regular season edition. Obviously, losing in the NFC title game or losing a Super Bowl is worse than losing a game in week 3. And I think it's important, too, I'll say this a couple of times throughout the show. The season's not over. They can still make the playoffs. They can still make a run, all that. They're obviously banged up, and I don't think that what they look like now is what they're going to look like in week 10. Okay, that's on the table. Now we're focused on week 3. What a train wreck.
Yeah, that was a mess.
Yuck.
That was messy. It was messy. I don't agree that it's the worst loss. I don't know which one is.
Oh, okay, perfect.
But that's okay. Like, we can battle it out on whether this was like the worst loss. I think it was a bad loss.
Okay.
But I also think that there are so many reasons why. Like, there are excuses and there are reasons.
Sure.
And I thought they had reasons why this game went the way it went. And, again, they should have been better. They should have figured it out. But at the end of the day, both teams are missing a bunch of players. But it's how teams deal with missing players that I think matters. And I don't think they're dealing with the players they're missing all that well right now.
I think so. Here's what's interesting about that is I didn't think the offense was a problem yesterday. There were a couple of plays they could have made, and we'll go through it. I have 8 plays that I want to run through.
Okay.
That really led to the building blocks of that disaster. But I didn't come away from yesterday's game going, wow, they need more help on offense. Like, obviously, they'll be better once Deebo Samuel and Christian McCaffrey and George Kittle are in the lineup. No doubt. Like, that just without question. But the reason yesterday was so bad for me is because, so there's only so many seasons we can pick from.
Yeah.
2019, I didn't think they had any bad losses. They went 13-3.
Okay.
And they lost to the Ravens in Baltimore on a last-second field goal, and they lost an OT to the Seahawks. Like, it was just, there weren't any, like, bad losses. 2021, you have a 2-point loss to Green Bay. It was tough, for sure, but they were 2-0 going into that game. You had the 28-21 loss to Seattle. That was a game where Trey Lance had to come in because Jimmy Garoppolo got hurt, and the Seahawks just kind of pulled away. They were just a better team that day. The Niners lose 17-10 to the Cardinals in Trey Lance's starting debut. They had the bye week. Here's a contender for me. They lost 30-18 to the Carson Wentz Colts at home, coming out of their bye week.
Yeah.
That's bad. That dropped them to 2-4. But the reason that yesterday sticks out to me as the worst loss of the Kyle Shanahan era is because when you go look at that box score, the box score doesn't say loss. It wasn't like the Niners just didn't have it and they got outplayed. They were up 14 twice. They were up 10 in the fourth quarter with less than half a quarter left. There are so many plays that we're going to go through here that were just there to be made that they just didn't make. And to me, the reason this is so bad is that this is a continuation of last week where you went, man, they just didn't, God, a couple of plays just, oof. They just got outplayed. Just got away from them. There was no reason yesterday should have gotten away from them, but then it did. And this is where, when you talk Super Bowl hangover, this is where it manifests to me. This is a team that did not come out with the same energy that we might have seen in previous years where they go, all right, hey, bad loss, not a bad loss in the sense that we're talking about, but, lost to Minnesota, didn't play great. Division game against a beat-up Rams team, a team that's more beat up than us. Like, we're going to go take this one, is the attitude that I was expecting them to come in with. And then they go up 14-0. And you're going, there it is. Like, man, they're cooking today. This is the Niners that I know. But then that pressure builds, and there's, I think, this internal pressure to know. Deebo Samuel said it's now or never. It's this year or it's not happening. And that internal pressure builds up. So when one small thing goes wrong in a game, when Justin Jefferson scores a 97-yard touchdown against the Vikings or for the Vikings, it's like, oh boy, like, oh, now the pressure really ramps up. Yesterday, the Rams convert a fake punt on 4th and 6 from their own 43, and it's, oh man, oh boy, now there's just outsized pressure that the 49ers are putting on themselves because they know, like, hey, last year was the prime opportunity to win a title and they didn't do it. And now they've got this now or never, it's got to happen this year vibe. And that makes games like this exponentially more difficult because you're not giving yourself any margin for error.
Yeah, I totally agree that there's no margin for error. And I agree that you can't drop games early in the season. I don't think the Vikings are a better team than they are. I don't think the Rams are a better team than they are. But at the same time, I look at the accumulation of things. Like, number one, the injuries have hit them hard, right? And just because you only have injuries on the offensive side of the ball doesn't mean that doesn't impact your defense.
Okay.
Right. So there are multiple times in the last 2 games where their defense let them down greatly, but also by not sustaining drives, their offenses let their defense be on the field probably more than they should have been. But even like the defensive issue is a bigger problem to me than like what you were saying about the offense. Like the offense, yeah, they were fine. I thought that wasn't sure. They could have won the game if Ronnie Bell catches a ball.
Sure.
That's just straight up. And I get that everyone wants to support Ronnie Bell, but at the same time, they should support him,
he shouldn't,
in a different
way.
Yeah.
Ronnie Bell is the 7th play in this list of 8 that I have here.
Yeah.
And was that a huge spot? Like, no doubt. And that's why I'm not going to argue with you if you think that was the biggest play. Like, no doubt.
Yeah.
He catches that. They're in not short. They're in 43-ish yard field goal range. They're going to have time to pick up more. They're by the end of that, they're kicking something inside of 40 yards to try and win it. Like, no doubt. And should Ronnie Bell be on the field in that situation? No. Should Ronnie Bell be on the team anymore? Probably not. Because if he's not catching that ball, what is he doing for you?
No.
Because he's very clearly not making plays on special teams.
Nope.
So I get the harping on the Ronnie Bell thing, and we will get to that for sure. But to me, this starts with, I'm going to start at the top here. Like I said, I've got 8 plays. And by the way, Raider fan that thinks you're escaping smoke,
yeah,
no. We'll get there. But Brandon Ayuk, here's the first play. Brandon Ayuk drops a 3rd down in the, I didn't have this written down. Hang on. Where is it? Second quarter, 9:08 left. The Niners have a 3rd and 4 on their own 40. Brock Purdy hits Brandon Ayuk. Tre'Davious White might have gotten a hand in to break it up, but either way, that's a contested catch that we saw Juwan Jennings make 4 times.
That's 2 weeks in a row that no. Week 1, he had the same exact drop.
Yes. Where it's ball in his chest. There's a hand and a defender there, but like, dude, you're paid to make that catch.
Yes.
You are not Ronnie Bell. You are not Ricky Pearsall or Chris Conley or Jacob Cowing or any of these other receivers. You are Brandon Ayuk. You held in to make $30 million a year. You left a contract on the table because you wanted guaranteed money in that 4th year. You were purposely a pain in the ass. Okay, that's fine. Get your bag. Get your money. Do everything you can to get your money. But then you got to go perform, dog.
Yep.
And that specific play, it might not get logged as a drop. That's one you got to have. Flat out.
Yeah, and it's too many times already. Like, I'm sick and tired of it already. And I'm sick and tired of seeing him on the sidelines. They keep panning to him on the sidelines.
Horrible body language.
And he's got this look like, poor me, poor me. No, bro. It's you. It's not anyone else. Juwan Jennings is out there going beast mode.
Balling.
And you're dropping balls. You're not getting open. You're not getting the separation you need. And you can complain whatever you want. Like, there's only one person to blame in this situation.
Yep.
And it's you.
Yep.
So, I mean, I get it, but at a certain point, like, the accountability has to be there. And like, look, he's a great wide receiver, but you're not even like in the game plan almost at this point.
Do you blame Brock Purdy for not trusting him right now?
No.
I don't either.
No, I'm throwing to Juwan Jennings. Like, he threw it to him 12 times. He should have thrown it to him 16 times.
Yeah, man.
Like, you needed a couple more. And I think that's one of those things where, like, we can talk about the Ronnie Bell situation. But again, you shouldn't be throwing the ball to Ronnie Bell right there. And I get it. That's the route that you had a player.
It was also
open.
A dot.
Yeah, like you were open, and I don't want to hear Brock Purdy sit there and say, "Oh, I could have thrown a better ball." No, bro, you put a ball exactly where it needed to be for like a 30-yard gain, and your team would have won the game if it wasn't for one guy dropping the ball again.
Yeah,
but it comes down to this problem that we saw it, a couple of years ago. Third down, huge third down play. You throw it over the middle to what? Ray McLeod drops the ball. You throw it to what was it?
Charlie Warner,
Ricky James.
Oh, Richie James, yeah.
Richie James. Like, what are you doing? Like, crucial moments, that's where big time players come up.
Sure.
And you got to know who your big time players are and who your guys are going to wilt. I don't mind him throwing the ball to Ronnie Bell in the first quarter. And if he drops the ball in the first quarter, oh well, it happens. But overall, you got to find the right guy at the right time. And Brandon Ayuk has to be that guy because that's what he's getting paid to be.
Yep. So Brandon Ayuk has that big drop on third down in the second quarter.
Yep.
And listener might be like, hey, why are you calling out that third down drop in the second quarter when so much went wrong in the fourth quarter? Because that drop ended the 49ers drive. They punted away to the Rams. That leads us to our second big play. Second quarter, 6:22 to go. The Rams have a 4th and 6 on their own 43-yard line. The 49ers lead 14-0. The Rams to this point have not done anything offensively. They've yet to cross midfield. They've run 10 offensive plays. It was more than that at this point. It was 14 or 15 offensive plays they'd run at this point. But they hadn't scored. They hadn't threatened to score. Niners defense is rolling. They get them into a 4th and 6. Prime fake punt territory. On 43, nothing to lose, down 2 touchdowns, you're at home. Kyle Shanahan said after the game that they were expecting a fake punt, that they had the call on to stop a fake punt. The problem is, if you watched, they didn't stop the fake punt. The Rams pick up 7 yards on a direct snap to Ronnie Rivers, the running back. He goes around the left edge, finds 7 yards. It's a first down Rams. That catalyzes a 16-play, 87-yard touchdown drive for the Rams that gets them back into the football game. Just an abject disaster on special teams.
Yes, they're a disaster on special teams, but it speaks to the larger problem that they've had the last couple of weeks. They just can't get off the field. They get third and long and even 4th and long, and you're not getting off the field.
Nope.
So I don't know if the defensive coordinator needs to come down from the booth and coach from the sidelines again.
He's already not in the booth.
Or if he needs to go back up to the booth, a different guy needs to go to the booth and mix it up again. I don't know what has to happen here. But again, the lack of execution to get off the field and get your offense back on the field is absolutely ridiculous.
I think I don't like saying that a person should be fired, so I'm not going to say anybody should be fired. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a change coming for the 49ers at special teams coordinator.
Oof.
Brian Schneider's been there for the last couple of years. It hasn't been pretty. I've never felt confident in anything the Niners are doing special teams wise. And the fact that Kyle Shanahan after the game comes out and like, yeah, we were expecting the fake punt. We just didn't get the edge. Like, that's bad. I hate using the term inexcusable because I think it gets misused a lot and overused. Oh, I missed a 3 from the corner. That's inexcusable. Well, sometimes you're going to miss.
Yeah,
great shooters hit 38%. Right. So it's inexcusable to fly out in that situation. Like, yeah, well, there's a fastball up. He thought he could hit it. He missed it a little bit. It happens. It is inexcusable when you're expecting a fake punt to allow the opposing team to pick up the fake punt.
Yes.
That cannot happen.
No.
It cannot. Run your defense out there. I don't care. Go get a stop. So that was the play. That was the moment that when I was watching, because to this point I'm going, oh, they're cruising today. Like, this is a 3-score win. And then they get the fake punt successfully. And it was like, uh-oh. Well, they're scoring on this drive for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Because defense got off the field. Defense feels great about itself. Now it's like, oh, I got to go back out there. And sure enough, the Rams just grind the Niners defense into dust en route to a touchdown. It's now 14-7. The 49ers answer. Juwan Jennings, 3rd touchdown of the game. It's 21-7. We're into the third quarter now. We're more than halfway through the third quarter. The Rams start a drive with a false start on Alaric Jackson, their left tackle, moves them back 5 yards. 1st and 15 at their own 25. Niners are back to cooking, right? Wrong. Matthew Stafford airs one out deep down the left sideline to wide receiver Tutu Atwell. Isaac Adams there in coverage. He's there. He's with him. Atwell's faster, had a step, but he's there to make a play and tackles him. Inexplicable.
Twice that happened in that game where they just had a big play and the person just tackles wide receiver.
I just don't. I don't. Again, I playing cornerback is hard, and I get that he's not trying to tackle the guy for a 46-yard penalty. By the way, 46 of the Rams' 70 yards on that touchdown drive came on that penalty, which is why it sticks out to me. Because they're backed up at their own 25, and now all of a sudden they're deep into 49ers territory because of this penalty.
Kyle, it once again, this is a trend. It's not a one-off. It's a trend. The Niners had the Vikings pinned at the 3-yard line and gave up a 97-yard touchdown. The defensive backfield has not been good at all. At all. The safeties have been bad. There's been some good play by Ward, but overall, it's these mistakes in crucial moments. Again, not being able to get off the field on 3rd and 7, 3rd and 9, again and again and again early in the season. And it's not just a defensive backfield. I'll pin, just like last year, we started this exactly the same way. If your defensive line is not going to get pressure on an aging quarterback, what are you doing against an offensive line that is almost all of which is backups? If you're not going to be able to get the pressure necessary, and you're going to have to start sending safeties and cornerbacks on blitzes, there's a problem.
It's silly. It's so silly. So the Isaac Yiadom flag sets up the Rams for their second touchdown of the game, makes it 21-14. On the ensuing drive, not on the ensuing drive. Fast forward to the fourth quarter. There's 4 minutes and 14 seconds left. Leading up to this point, the 49ers got a 15-yard catch from Juwan Jennings, and then they go Jordan Mason for 9 yards on first down to make it 2nd and 1. Jordan Mason for 4 yards, first down. Niners have a 1st and 10 at the Rams 42. Doing postgame at 95.7 in San Francisco, and I'm sitting there with Mark Grandy, the host, and Carter, the producer, and Lorenzo Neal, who does pregame and was hanging out. Love Lo Neal. And I said, it's like, this game's over. It's like Lo Neal the entire time had been like, they got to run it. They got to run it. And sure enough, they start getting behind Jordan Mason. They start running it. They're burning clock. And how many times have we seen the 49ers do this to teams? Where late in the game, they're just grinding you down, and they're going to go get 5, 6, 7 yards of pop. And then, there's a 20-yard run. And they just break the opposing team spirit. That's what happened in this moment to me. And I said to that room full of people, I never do this, by the way. I went, this is over. Like, this game's done.
Now it's your fault.
7-point game, 4:14 left. Niners 1st and 10 on the Rams 42, and they're wearing them out. And sure enough, the next play, and this to me is the biggest turning point of the game. They toss it left to Isaac Orendo, who gets the edge. He picks up 5 yards, goes out of bounds. Not great, but not the end of the world. Holding on Kyle Juszczyk. And that holding call on Kyle Juszczyk, and again, I know that people want to talk about Brandon Ayuk and Securin Bagley sent me a Rich Madrid tweet. Rich Madrid is a Niner fan who does a lot of film stuff, pointing out that the Ayuk drop we talked about was not actually a drop. Okay, fine. But this was the play that we can talk about Brandon Ayuk. We can talk about Ronnie Bell. We can talk about Jake Moody's missed field goal. We can talk about the defensive line in the secondary. This is the one that this is where the game flipped. Because instead of 2nd and 5 at the Rams 37, the Niners have a 1st and 20 at their own 43. I'm sorry, their own 48. And now they have to throw it. And now, instead of having a short field goal to make it a 2-score game inside of 3 minutes, they have a 55-yard field goal, which we all know This is our next play that Jake Moody misses. First miss of the year. Just a bad time to have your first miss.
Yeah. Push it right.
I've been really hard on Jake Moody because he was the number 99 overall pick. I'm not going to drag the kid because he missed a 55-yarder.
Yeah, it's tough.
He shouldn't have been put in a spot where he was having to kick a 55-yarder.
No, it's on the offense. Go give him another 7 yards.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, just put him in better range.
That's it.
I mean, that's, again, it's tough, but you also set up because of the 55-yarder. That's where the Rams take over, and now they have great field possession. And now position, and now it's just go down and score your score.
Yep. So the holding on Juszczyk, the missed field goal, obviously sets up the Rams with a 1st and 10 on their own 45. Niners still lead by 7, 2:43 to go, and this gets to what you were talking about earlier. Go get off the field. Go. You know the Rams are in 4-down territory. Go get 4 stops against Tyler Johnson and Jordan Whittington and Colby Parkinson and Tutu Atwell and Demarcus Robinson. Go get a stop. Go defensive line where Javon Hargrave, Nick Bosa, Leonard Floyd, Yetur Gross-Matos, all these dudes got paid. Go get the quarterback. They didn't go get the quarterback. In fact, they did the one thing you can't do in this situation. And this is our next play. Matthew Stafford on 1st down hits Tutu Atwell for 50 yards to set up a 1st and goal at the 5. Inexplicable from Trevarius Ward. In fact, you know what? I'm going to use this word again. Inexcusable from Trevarius Ward. A 49ers defense that's mantra has been like no big plays. We're going to make it so you can't get big plays against us.
Yeah.
In the spot where you cannot give up a big play. Tutu Atwell doesn't even do like a hard double move, just like stutter steps. And Trevarius Ward, for whatever freaking reason, sits, stops his feet, and Atwell flies right by him. And Trevarius Ward 2 steps late. If the ball is a little bit better throw, it's probably a touchdown. Atwell had to come back for it a little bit, which is why Trevarius Ward was able to get him on the ground.
Yep.
And the Rams score a couple plays later to tie the game. I was flabbergasted by that. Trevarius Ward, I thought, has been good to start the year. That is a catastrophic mistake.
Yeah, it's like when you're in a 2-3 run ball game and in the 9th inning. That's like if you played shallow in the outfield. Like, what do you do? You have to play
no doubles.
No doubles. Like it's a basic concept. Nobody gets behind you. That's the rule. Nobody gets behind you. And they just let him behind him. But again, it's more of a trend than it is a one-off, because same exact thing happens in the Vikings game. You just keep going back again and again to these moments where they make the game more difficult on themselves.
Yeah.
I don't know, Kyle.
Trevarius Ward's worst rep of the year by far for me. I want to put a pin in this discussion because we've only got a few minutes left, and I want to dig into the last couple of plays here.
Okay.
So we're going to put a pin in the 49ers because we got to talk about the Raiders momentarily. Was their loss worse than San Francisco's?
I know. We don't need to break it down play by play. Yeah, it's just unbelievable. It really, if you had any hope of being a legitimate team at all this season, you don't lose to the worst team in football and just get embarrassed.
Even with it, I understand they were better with Andy Dalton starting. I didn't expect the Raiders to go blow them out by 30.
Yeah.
I expected them to win, though. Andy Dalton's a good player. I made this case on Friday. Andy Dalton doesn't suck at football.
No.
Is he a backup at this point? Like, yeah, on a good team, probably.
Yeah, I mean, the Chicago Bears are 2-1 or maybe even 3-0 if they have Andy Dalton instead of Caleb Williams. I mean, like, look, if you had just the steady hand there, and I'm not saying he's a great quarterback, just a steady hand and a great defense and really good offensive players, you'd be okay. I don't think it will carry over, but the fact is, like, look, you can't just get stomped by a team that has looked so incompetent through the first 2 weeks of the season. I mean, Again, what does this even make Chase Young look even that much worse?
Bryce Young.
Bryce Young, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Bryce Young.
Chase Young did a lot of looking bad last year for the Niners.
Yeah, he did. And now, but Bryce Young went from looking bad to, oh my gosh, you're that bad?
Yeah.
That Andy Dalton is the answer?
Andy Dalton, 26 of 37, 319, 3 tutties.
Yeah, he hasn't been the answer to any trivia question in 10 years.
The reason this is so tough for me is not that I thought the Raiders are going to win the Super Bowl or anything like that, but they go get a really, really excellent win in Baltimore last week.
Mm-hmm.
And you feel so good about, like, man, you get that win against Baltimore, the comeback, what a game. Now you get the worst team in the league in your home opener. You should be, and not even a team that's going to travel particularly well.
No.
Not even a team where it's like, man, this is going to be like a Vikings home game, right? Like this is prime opportunity to win. You go 2-1, you get that momentum going. And this is where I think Antonio Pierce can really thrive and really cook. And like, man, the vibe is just going to be nuts.
Mm-hmm.
To go not just lose that game, but to get waxed. They lost by 14, and it wasn't even that close.
Not even close.
They were down 33-7 in the fourth quarter.
Kyle, you went from the week before having Gardner Minshew be the guy who just led you to victory against the Baltimore Ravens to, is Gardner Minshew going to be the starter in week 4?
Yeah.
That's how bad you did in 1 week. 1 week.
Just
you created your own controversy. I don't even know why.
Brutal, dude.
Just horrible, ridiculous.
I can't wait to see how this plays out with Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell. But Antonio Pierce said after the game that some players made business decisions late in the game, and the Raiders would be making the corresponding business decisions on Monday.
Hey-oh.
So I'm thrilled to see what's going to happen in Vegas. And this is where I think the Raiders are at. I expect them to bounce back at some point. I don't think they're going to win 3 games. I think they're going to, I still think they're going to win a handful of games here. But this idea that they're going to stick around and be in playoff contention, I'm out.
Yeah, because if he can't win this one, this is a gimme.
This is a prime, and again, this is not, Andy Dalton doesn't suck. But the Raiders top to bottom are way better than the Panthers top to bottom. And I know you lose Malcolm Kuntz this week. That's a massive loss. He was such a good player for them. I understand that loss has an impact, without question. But there's just no reason to give up 36 points to the Carolina Panthers.
No. You almost have to try. I mean, it's just, again, I don't want to harp on the Raiders too much just because they are who they are.
That's it. And that's what's disappointing. It's like, man, they're just kind of,
man, you beat the Ravens last week.
Felt so good about the direction.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Luckily for the Raiders, the 49ers loss to me was worse than theirs yesterday. We were going through all the bad plays. We didn't even get to the 2 worst ones. We'll do that. But also, we'll have some silver linings as well as we talk about week 3 of the NFL. He's James Ham. I'm Kyle Madsen. We're the Insiders hanging out with you till noon and sponsored by Jiffy Lube here on ESPN 1320 at Sacramento Sports Leader. Clear.
Oh. Yeah, Scout. The Panthers they're just the worst team in football. Or at least they were until yesterday. You don't want to be the team that makes the worst team in football not look like the worst team in football anymore. Thanks, Drew Down. I had a really fun trip to Vegas. We did a very different trip to Vegas than normal. I don't know who has stayed in like the downtown area as opposed to the Strip, but we had a really, really good time down there. It was fun. The vibe was cool. Leezy, I thought you said you gave up on Prize Picks. My bad. Ravens kicker cost you your 4-leg parlay. Come on, man. Betting on a kicker. And Justin Tucker hasn't been good. Oh, you had a $16 credit. You know why you had a credit? Because they're drawing you back in, Leezy. You're a fish on. Fish on. Michigan Wolverines. Me and my son in our big league, we are 0-3 as well. And we were 0-2 and second in total points last week. This week we were ass. The only 2 touchdowns we have are the ones that Mahomes threw. Yeah, hey, Brett, Circa was cool. The Arts District was cool. We did a food tour. That was cool. They walked us through. We also did the what's it called? The container district. Talk about an idea that should be like repeated everywhere. That was spectacular. Yeah, Patrick, the King's Media Day is a week from today. Training camp starts next Tuesday. No Aces game. We were getting in and getting out. It was for birthday parties. We had 2 birthdays in the group we were with. Patrick, I don't think we're going to ignore football, but we're going to certainly talk a lot of basketball moving forward. By the end of the week, we'll start building up.
Oh, I made tea and forgot about it.
Uh-oh.
Hey.
Lions pass rusher Marcus Davenport suffered what appears to be a serious and significant elbow injury in Sunday's game.
X. Here we go. Botched it. Hang on, everybody. I got to wait for the voice guy. Okay, voice guy, hit us.
Now, back to the Insiders with James Ham and Kyle Madsen, brought to you by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320.
Yeah, he's James. I'm Kyle. Shout out to Jiffy Lube. Rams 27, 49ers 24. We'll get to the good stuff from the game. I thought there were a couple of silver linings for sure.
Yeah.
But we got to get to the 2 big plays at the end. We've been rolling through all the bad stuff that happened.
Okay.
En route to a colossal 49ers collapse. Next up, after the Rams tied the game, the 49ers are cruising down the field with a chance to win the game because the Rams scored so quickly because the Niners gave up a 50-yard completion on first down. Niners cruising down the field. And they have a 1st and 10 at their own 43. And Brock Purdy tries to hit Brandon Ayuk, Okay, I'm in the right spot. I wanted to make sure I was in the right spot of the playlist. 2nd and 10 at their own 43. This is the play we've talked about a lot. This is the play that a lot of people are harping on as the biggest play of the game. As Brock Purdy throws to Ronnie Bell down the right sideline, throws a dime. Really good throw. Ronnie Bell flat out drops it. Flat out. No other way to put it. Drops it. 49ers go to 3rd and 10. Brock Purdy scrambles up the middle for a couple of yards on 3rd down. Niners have to punt. And this is where the Ronnie Bell drop is such a massive play just because A, he dropped it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like he dropped it at the NFL officially had it at 31 yards was how far down the field he was when he didn't make the catch. So let's say he catches that. The Niners are 7-24. The Rams 26 at that point. A 43-yard field goal max.
And it's first down.
Yards. And it's first down. They're inside of a minute. Like they're going to be able to run the clock. I think the Rams have one more timeout. Yeah, they're gonna be able to run the clock to well under a minute if the Rams don't take a timeout. I mean, they're in a prime position if Ronnie Bell catches that ball. But here's Ronnie Bell's not it, man. Ronnie Bell is not that guy. We've known it now for 2 years. Like this is just not he's not the player you want in that situation. And I get that injuries are part of it. I get that there's no Deebo Samuel and there's no George Kittle.
Mm-hmm.
But why Ronnie Bell in that spot over Chris Conley or Jacob Cowing, who didn't get on the field yesterday again? If you're going to, and this is I'm zooming out from the game itself here.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to zoom in a little bit on Kyle Shanahan. Kyle Shanahan's philosophy is we draft players who touch the ball and score the touchdowns. And with offensive linemen, we just need to have 5 serviceable dudes. And if you can get a Trent Williams, great. But as long as they're starters, they don't need to be all pros. As long as you have 5 serviceable dudes up front and they give the quarterback time to get the ball to the guys who make the plays, we'll take the guys who make the plays. That's fine. I get it. I totally understand that philosophy. It actually makes sense. I buy into that idea. But if you're going to forego, let's just pick a round. I don't know, the 4th round. If you're going to forego an offensive line prospect who might be able to compete at, let's say, right tackle with Colton McKivitz, who was dreadful yesterday.
Mm-hmm. Again.
Or if you're not going to draft a player who you think can compete with Jake Brendel, your journeyman center, who's not been great, and you're going to go get a player who will score touchdowns and make plays and have the ball in his hands, okay, that's fine. Put him on the field. Why isn't he playing then? Yeah. He missed a lot of camp. Okay, fine. But that wasn't like a complicated route. You can't say, hey, go over there, line up a little bit off the line, and then run by the guy. Give him a little stutter step and then just run by the guy. I know it's not that simple, but it is. Like football at times is not that complex.
Mm-hmm.
And I would so much rather have seen Jacob Cowing or literally any other player on the roster running that route than Ronnie Bell. I don't understand it.
It's tough. And look, last season I was a Ronnie Bell guy. He had such a good camp last year.
He had a great preseason.
This camp, this year, this preseason, he was horrible.
Not good.
At all. Like he shouldn't have made the roster. And there comes a point where you have to do what's right for everybody. And look, if I'm going to sit here and trash Kadarius Toney because he can't catch the ball and he keeps giving away interceptions and call for him to be waived, then you have to do the same thing when a guy on the 49ers is doing exactly the same thing. Like there's a problem that I have with Ronnie Bell, and it's this. He's not decisive. What he did on that play was, it's not what a ball player does. Go and get the ball. Come back to the ball if you have to. He didn't need to leap. He didn't need to make some extraordinary looking play. He needed to just go grab the football and keep going. It's like he built up that he's going to go jump up in the air and make some Eric Burns style dive in the outfield.
Great callback.
It's just that. It's the fake spectacular play guy. Man, just make the play. Rashee Rice, I watched him all weekend long for the Chiefs. He runs to the ball, catches a ball, and then goes.
Mm-hmm.
There is no indecision at all. That's what I saw with Ronnie Bell. Like, I'm going to go jump up. Like, why are you jumping up? It's not a ball you need to jump up for. Just go catch the ball and keep going. But no, it's this, I've got to do something extraordinary as opposed to just the basics. And that's what I keep feeling like I'm watching with the 49ers. I'm watching a team that can't figure out how to do the basics, like get off the field on 3rd and 7.
Mm-hmm.
Just do the basics, man.
Yeah.
Just tackle. Just do the basics.
Yep.
And so for me, this is another one of those plays where you put the ball in the hands of a guy who showed all the way through preseason he was not good enough to play for a team that is as good as the San Francisco 49ers believe they are, and they should be.
Yep.
He's just not. I'm sorry. And I get it, Brock Purdy, you got your guys back.
Mm-hmm.
That guy just cost you a game. And what he could cost you is home field advantage. And what that could cost you is a chance to win a Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
So no.
I don't know why he's on the field.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So here.
Yeah.
Ricky Pearsall getting shot in the chest played a big role in Ronnie Bell sticking around, I think.
Probably.
He made the initial roster, but I think that the Ricky Pearsall, I'm just for injury, just for ease of argument here. The Ricky Pearsall injury is why Ronnie Bell is A, suiting up, and B, on the team. Like that's I think it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we just talked about a player like Jacob Cowing, or I guess Chris Conley, who's come up with some big catches for the Niners over the last really last postseason and late last year. This adherence to players like Ronnie Bell, because like they know where to line up, and they might be good blockers. I'm sorry, bro. I get that in the first quarter when you're really trying to scheme and hey, I want to make sure that we're not giving anything away about what we're going to do here. So we want to make sure our receivers can block like heck, because we might run it, but we might also throw it. Okay, totally. In that spot, I don't give a damn.
Yeah.
And that's what separates, and again, this is zooming out from yesterday's game, but that's what separates coaches like Sean McVay, coaches like Andy Reid, I think coaches like Matt LaFleur and Kevin O'Connell, and pick your favorite good coach. That's where they separate themselves from Kyle Shanahan for me. Because how many times have you seen rando guy just go make plays for the Rams or the Chiefs or the Packers or it just, they put faith in their football players to be football players instead of going, well, the only way this play is going to work. The only way I'm fired up. The only way this play is going to work is if the X receiver lines up at this exact blade of grass, because if he's a half yard off, then it's going to not pull the safety far enough away. And that doesn't open up the middle far enough. Like, get out of your head for a second and let the players go play. The game is about the players. The sport is about the players. And that's why players like Ronnie Bell, in the context of the NFL, Ronnie Bell is one of the best football players in the universe just by virtue of being in the NFL. No doubt. In the context of being in an NFL game and being a player that the 49ers are going to throw the ball to in a big spot, there aren't that many players worse than Ronnie Bell to be in that spot.
No.
And that they put themselves in that position. And again, the injuries, I totally understand. I totally understand that a fully healthy version of the 49ers, Ronnie Bell, is probably not even on the roster, much less on the field. I got it. But the situation they were in yesterday, they had other options.
You had a guy who had 12 targets for 11 catches for 175 yards.
And maybe I'm not putting enough on Brock Purdy, but he has the players who were on the field. They ran the play that was called, and he threw a dot to the wide receiver that should have been caught.
Yeah.
Like that's where I'm sorry, he gets absolved for me. He did the right thing. The receiver needs to execute.
No, I totally agree. Now, I would say like you got to go through your progressions and make sure you're throwing to the right guys.
Mm-hmm.
And like, look, Brock did miss the bomb that he could have thrown to Ayuk
for sure. Yep,
like
he wasn't perfect yesterday.
Yeah. But at the same time, I can't have multiple games over the last 3 seasons be decided because you threw the ball to a guy who isn't a top 8 guy on your roster.
Yep,
a top 8 wide receiver on your or
top 8 wide receiver,
pass catcher on your roster.
Sure. Yeah,
like he's just not.
But honestly, I know if you're stacking up all the wide receivers on the Niners roster, I think I'd rather have Terrace Marshall on the field than Ronnie Bell, and he's on the practice squad. So
that's tough.
I don't even disagree if you say he's not a top 8 receiver on the roster because I don't think he is.
Yeah.
I'm not even done being mad yet. We got one more play to go, guys. We're reliving this whole thing. We talk about the word inexcusable and how it's overused. But I'm going to use it again. Because the 49ers, 4th and 8 at their own 45. Right move to punt, by the way. I saw not a lot, but I saw a couple of people on the internet. Like, you got to go for it. No, you don't. You absolutely punt that ball away. There's 55 seconds left. The Rams don't have any timeouts. You punt this away. You punt it out the back of the end zone. You punt it out of bounds. You punt it to the clouds so your coverage team has time to get down and force that guy to fair catch it. You do literally anything other than allow them to have a return of any kind.
Mm-hmm.
And not only do the Rams return it, but they get a 37-yard return from a player named Xavier Smith on his first NFL touch. And he goes 37 yards, gets the ball to the 50, and we know what happens from there. The Rams get into field goal range, and they kick the game-winning field goal with 2 seconds left. The blown punt coverage, to me, is even worse than the fake punt. You can't... They're just... If you're the special teams coordinator, you're going over to Mitch Wishnowsky on 3rd down and going, hey, if we punt here, punt it out of bounds. I don't care where it lands. Get it out of bounds and make sure that they are somewhere deep in their own territory.
Yeah.
I don't care if you punt it out of bounds at the 25 or the 20, or you try and get it inside the 10 and it goes out the back of the end zone, whatever. Whatever is happening here, it cannot result in the Rams return man getting the ball to the 50, where they now need like 20 yards to get in field goal range. That's where, when I talked about earlier the Niners potentially having a new special teams coordinator by next week, that's the play. How does that? I don't understand how that happens.
Well, I mean, it's just like last week we didn't understand how a guy just let a guy run right up the middle and block a punt. You know, at least in this situation,
2 weeks in a row.
Hat tip to Mitch Wisnowski, who made the hit on the sidelines, as opposed to standing there and watching it like he did the week before. So shout out to him. I'd also say, like, the people on the internet who were like, go for it on 4th down. Whoever was commentating that game, whoever was the analyst in that game was like, well, you know, this is 4 down territory no matter what. And it's like, well, like he said that right before.
Insane. Mark Sanchez said that.
Right before 3rd down.
Insane.
Like 3rd down might have even been playing, and you're like, no, it's not. Like, what are you talking about? This is not 4 down territory.
Yeah.
Like, unless you're just going to give away the game. Sure. Okay.
Or if it's 4th and 1 on their 48, where it's like, man, it's a little long for a field goal, but man, we really think we can get this yard instead of punting it back to him. Okay, then maybe you discuss it. But no, that was no 4th and 8 on your own 45. No chance.
No.
What a mess, dude. What a just absent to blow 2 14-point leads and then a 10-point lead with less than half a quarter to go is just against a team that's that beat up, and it's a division game, and it's a de facto home game.
And you could have put the Rams away.
And
the Rams would have been done.
Their season's over.
And now you're 1-2 and they're 1-2. You're like,
and the Seahawks are 3-0, by the way.
Whatever. Like, see, that's a
2-game lead in the division, man.
It is, but that's the worst 3-0 team I've ever seen.
I am just, I'm
I don't know if it's the worst I've ever seen, but it's not a good 3-0 team. Because I think there are two of them, right? There are two
Run back to the Rolodex.
really, really bad 3-0 teams to start.
Mm-hmm.
And you're just looking at them like, I'm not quite sure. Oh, Pittsburgh. Yeah, Pittsburgh's the other 3-0 team. You're like, okay.
I buy Pittsburgh way more than I buy Seattle.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, but neither one of them have played anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what it comes down to.
I thought the win yesterday for the Steelers was quality. Beating the Chargers, holding the Chargers to 10 points. I know Justin Herbert's dealing with an injury, but
yeah, Herbert's hurt.
I was impressed by the Steelers yesterday for sure. But yeah, not a team that I'm going, oh man, Super Bowl contender.
Yeah,
definitely not. Let's put a pause on everything here. That's James. I'm Kyle. Jiffy Lube sponsors this program. We're the Insiders. We're hanging out with you till noon here on ESPN 1320. That's Sacramento Sports Leader for you. It wasn't all bad yesterday. I know it seems like that, but man, Juwan Jennings, 11 catches, $175. Is that what he finished with? $175.
175.
Oh my god, 175 yards, 3 touchdowns, and it wasn't like. I think the most impressive part for me was it wasn't like, oh man, he just got schemed open and he was running wide open the whole game. There were times he got open for sure, but the amount of contested catches he made, the one where he mossed the dude, I think it was who was that? Was that Kobe Durant? He did that too, or it might have been Cameron Curl, whoever it was. Moss is a Rams defensive back. Just goes up over the top and takes it from him. Had like a sliding catch in traffic. Had another catch where he's getting hit. Just an unbelievable day for Juwan Jennings, man. Salute. You're talking about players showing up in a big spot. It's hard to show up bigger than Juwan Jennings did.
Yeah, I think it was week 1. I sent you a text. I said signing Juwan Jennings to a 2-year deal might be like one of the best moves the Niners have ever made.
Yep.
Like, that dude is a flat-out beast.
Reminds me of the Dre Greenlaw contract a little bit.
Yeah.
Where they extended him early for 2 years on a super cheap deal. Yeah.
It's a great call. I mean, he's a huge wide receiver. He doesn't mind going up and getting the ball. Like, in the red zone, they should have been using him in the red zone for a while now.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm looking at him like, can you run 2 tight end sets with him? Can you find new ways to get him on the field more? Can you find new ways to get him involved going forward?
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, but if you're Deebo Samuel and you're looking at next year not under contract, you got to start looking at what the alternatives are. And this is a guy who is just a huge target.
Yeah.
And found a way to get open again and again and again. I did not again, not to bash on the telecast completely.
No, do it.
They just kept
they weren't great yesterday.
Panning to him like he's standing there, it's like bummed out, like standing there with a blank stare. It's like, hey, why do you keep panning to him? He's the one guy who's been incredible.
That's probably why.
I guess. But at the same time, it's like,
eyes on Juwan Jennings again.
Why do we keep doing it? Why do we keep going back to him? I thought, like, look, you needed somebody to step up, and he stepped up in such a huge way and just showed you that there's potential for him to be so much more for this team.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know that means he's going to catch 600 yards or 800 yards a season or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
He's still your third wide receiver. But my goodness, what a luxury to have a third wide receiver that's like 6'4", 225 and can go over the top. Like, that's a luxury right there.
Yeah, dude. He got drafted in the 7th round because he's slow.
Yeah.
He ran like a 4.7 something at the combine. But you can watch it. Go watch his college tape. It's like he turns every catch into a boxing match.
Yeah.
And he loves it. Like, that's what he thrives on, is that contact and that and that physical style. And you saw it yesterday. Just for context, he had 3 touchdowns yesterday. He had 2 touchdowns in his previous 31 games combined. You talk about using him more. 18 catches for 276 yards and 3 touchdowns this year. Last season in 15 games, 19 catches for 265 and 1. He has, what is that? 11 more yards, 2 more touchdowns on 1 fewer reception this year. On 12 fewer targets.
Kyle, he's third in the NFL in receiving yards,
leading the NFL in receiving touchdowns.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm right there with you. When Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk and Christian McCaffrey and George Kittle are all in the field. Juwan Jennings is not gonna see a ton of action just by virtue of where he stands in the hierarchy. But I absolutely think that this is where you start talking about like different wrinkles and different things the Niners can do. I think there's no excuse to not do more 3 wide receiver stuff.
Oh yeah.
They're just he's too good and too valuable to just have on the bench when the team is healthy.
I totally agree, and I'm not joking. He's easily a big enough dude you can put him in the box and have him be a second tight end and run 2 tight end sets where you're throwing both of them out into a route.
They basically do that, right? They'll put him in motion where they'll snap it like basically when he gets to where the tight end would line up, and then he's going downhill when he's turning the corner and he's hitting a defensive end or he's going to get in a linebacker or whatever. Like they use him like that. They've used him as a fullback where same deal. He goes kind of in motion and then they snap it where he's between the guard and the center and he just starts moving downhill where he's getting a linebacker in the second level and he's good at it. And that's part of the reason they like him so much is that physical style and that willingness to go block. But I think yesterday just showed, I think everybody knew kind of like, man, Juwan Jennings is better than his numbers.
Oh yeah.
Last year, 19 catches for 265. I thought he had 30 plus catches just because he's so impactful when he does touch it.
Lots of first downs last year. And then I feel it's very similar to the way I felt with Jordan Mason after the first week. All of a sudden you're like, okay, how do we use him differently moving forward? How do we make sure that we're getting him involved? This just added a new wrinkle to what you're doing, and it could make you even that much better.
Yeah.
And so I'm here for it. I think he's absolutely, one of the guys that I'm putting on the field. Again, once you're healthy, I never want to see anyone but those 3 wide receivers with him and Debo and Ayuk in crucial situations and Kittle out and then McCaffrey out of the backfield. I don't want to see anyone else getting thrown a third down ball.
Nope. Unless Kyle Juszczyk's wide open.
Yeah,
that's the one exception for me.
Open.
That's the one exception for me. But other than that, I totally agree.
I don't want to see Conley. I don't want to see Cowings. I don't want to see Ronnie Bell. I don't want to see the backup to the back of Saubert.
Eric Saubert. Yeah.
Yeah.
41 yards yesterday.
Yeah.
Watch out.
Look at that. Did you prize pick that one, Kyle?
No, I didn't. Falling the half yard short on Jordan Mason was just brutal.
And he got a yard.
Yeah, on that last play.
On the last play.
Yeah. Yeah, it was like he got his eye. Oh, go 1 yard. Like, no, get the ball back. Yeah, I got 3 out of 4.
That's amazing.
Fine. Fell half a yard short on Jordan Mason. That's okay though. All right. Shout out to Prize Picks. We got plenty more to dive into with this game. We got to talk about Brock Purdy. You mentioned Jordan Mason. I want to have a little discussion about Jordan Mason and the Niners run game. Talanoa Hufanga was back. We talk about the Niners D line. You had a spicy text to me yesterday. About another non-49ers or Raiders quarterback.
Oh.
And we're going to cancel some people coming up as well. Plenty more to get into from week 3 of the NFL. He's James Ham. I'm Kyle Madsen. We're the Insider, sponsored by Jiffy Lube here on ESPN 1320 at Sacramento Sports Center. Clear. Ugh.
This is funny, Kyle.
These shows are so much more fun when they lose.
Yeah. I have Mike Evans. We have Jamison Williams. My son decided to bench Jamison Williams, even though he had been really good for Rashid Shaheed. Rashid Shaheed. Yeah. Who has been incredible through 2 weeks. He got a goose egg, and Williams got 0.2. And Mike Evans was horrible. What, 2 for 17, something like that? Yeah, we got crushed this week. Not good. Yeah, Tabers, same thing. Shaheed didn't even. Yeah, Derek Carr just turned into a big old giant pumpkin. Me and Kyle don't want to talk about this one. Yeah. We had a bunch of guys lay eggs. It was bad. I think the most disappointing thing about Carr is this right here. Every time you have any expectations of him being like solid and a good quarterback, he reminds you that when anything is on the line, he cannot make the right throw. Like he always overthrows it.
That throw on the game-ending interception yesterday was so bad.
Every single time, though, just go back through his career. Every time there's a moment he can't make it. Oh, no. Are you kidding me? The Dolphins and Titans are on Monday Night Football next week? Oh, no. That's sad. Because what's happening there with the Dolphins is I feel bad for Jesse. And they lose Mercury Morris, RIP, on Sunday. Man, they're running out of 72 Dolphins.
I don't know if my guy Frank is listening, by the way, but shout out to my friends Alex and Frank. Alex threw a 30th birthday party for Alex this weekend. And it was an absolute blast.
Yeah, it sounds like you were having a good time.
I had a great goddamn time.
Yeah.
I can tell I'm a more mature adult though, because like I got after it for sure. But about 10 o'clock, party went till 11. About 10 o'clock, it was all water, baby.
Oh, look at you being smart.
I had plenty to drink. Like I said, I got after it, but a lot of water. And in the morning, wake up, more water, a little coffee, a little liquid IV. Good to go. Really proud of me.
I usually do a good job of knowing when is time.
Yeah.
Like there's like a little switch in the head.
Yeah, there's definitely that, like, didn't have it at 24 years old, you know?
No, no.
But now it's like, I reached that point where someone's pouring up tequila shots and I look at them like, that's going to hurt if I do that.
I'm not doing that. No.
I'm all done for tonight.
I am done.
Yeah, man. Shout out to Alex and Frank. They're the homies.
All right. Interesting. Yeah, Katrina, I know a couple of those. The no switch guys. You're like, oh no, I've got a little switch in the head. Goes, oh, I'm good. Or hey, it's too many days in a row. And I don't.
Go.
Yeah.
Hour number 2. That's James Ham. I'm Kyle Madsen. Sponsored by Jiffy Lube. We're taking you up till noon, then we'll hand it off to D-Lo and Casey. 49ers lose. Raiders lose. Yuck. Just a bad Sunday. Not a fun day.
No. Yeah, very odd. I don't know. There's some good games. I definitely had a good time like sitting and watching football. I was like I was not happy at all with watching the end of the Niners game or watching Patrick Mahomes just not look like Patrick Mahomes still.
I still feel like every game, save for Minnesota beat the hell out of the Texans. You thought Minnesota stuck it to the Niners.
Oh, yeah.
What they did to Houston was insane.
Yeah.
30-47 in the final there. But like, The Giants and the Browns, yuck. That was close, but yuck.
Mm-hmm.
Indy and Chicago, close, but yuck.
Oh, no, that was
Caleb
hideous.
Williams throwing it 52 times, by the way.
You know what, though?
Launch Matt Eberflus into the sun.
Yeah, but on occasion, sometimes I think what you need to do is let a kid just go. Just, hey, look, we're not going to do this thing that we're doing with Malik Willis, where please don't cost us a game. Please don't cost us a game. You know, that's what I feel like every single time he drops back. They've told him, if you have any question at all, then take off running. Right?
Yeah,
like,
just
please,
do. Yeah.
Please don't cost us a game.
Sure.
Every once in a while, if you're a up and coming quarterback and you know how much talent he has, you're like, sling it, man. Just drop back and stop getting sacked, start getting comfortable in the pocket, and just sling the ball. And that's what I kind of felt like. And I'm with you. Like, I think their coach is horrible. But yeah, like, I'm okay because he made some throws where you're like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, no, he's clearly a talented dude. Like, I'm in on Caleb Williams still. But just, it was never like, I guess late in the game they were down 12, so you gotta start airing it out then. But it was never like, oh my God, there's no way they're coming back. They have to throw. Like, they could have. I think they could have just utilized the run game more. But like Philly and New Orleans, yuck.
Oh,
shout out to Philly's defense.
Yeah, it was not fun to watch.
Pittsburgh and the Chargers, watched 0 seconds of that game on purpose.
No.
Denver beat Tampa Bay, gross. You talked about Green Bay beating Tennessee. Tennessee stinks. We'll get to them later.
Yep.
Carolina, Vegas, no. Seattle beating Miami with no Tua, whatever. Detroit, Arizona, I think pretty good game. Baltimore, Dallas, not nearly as close as the 3-point final score. Dallas got like a touchdown, then an onside kick and a touchdown.
Oh, no, that was just intentionally to beat me in fantasy football with Dak Prescott.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Anyways.
We got beaten week 1 by, was it Kamara with 4 touchdowns? No, week 2. Week 2 is Kamara 4 touchdowns, right?
Yeah.
40 points.
Yeah.
Week 1 was Richardson going for like 28.
Oh.
And like that guy will probably never score 28 points again in his fantasy football history.
He might, just because of his athleticism, but man.
Maybe.
10 of 20?
You know,
with one of the worst interceptions I've ever seen.
Oh, yeah. You brought up the Vikings Texans game.
Yeah.
The Vikings are just, whatever they're doing defensively,
they're awesome right now.
They're like scatterbraining quarterbacks. The quarterbacks can't figure out what's happening. We saw it with Purdy last week and was like, okay, what's going on here, Brock? And then you see it with CJ Stroud, where CJ Stroud, like, they pan him on the sidelines and he's just got like this befuddled look. You're like, what in the world just happened? And they're doing something different and just disrupting everything. It's wild.
Their ability to, because Brian Flores is going to blitz. If there's one thing Brian Flores is going to do, it's blitz the quarterback, right? And we'll get back to the Niners here in a second. But I think what separates Minnesota right now is that not only can they blitz their tails off and get after your quarterback, but even when they don't blitz and they drop 7 or 8 into coverage, they have the pass rushers to continue to affect your quarterback.
Yeah.
Where, okay, they're reading blitz. They got that. Oh, they dropped out. Okay, now I got to figure out exactly what's happening post-snap. Oh, but hey, here's Jonathan Grenard flying around the corner. I have to speed up my process now. And it's just, I thought made Brock Purdy super indecisive. It obviously, CJ Stroud played one of the worst games of his career. I think Minnesota's legitimately good. I think Minnesota can really play.
Yeah.
I don't think this is a weird. They had 20 quarterback pressures yesterday from 10 different people.
Wow. I think the only question you had,
guys all had pressures.
The only question you had going into the season was whether Sam Darnold was any good at all and if he could get the ball to these guys. And through 3 weeks, he's like, hey, I'm that dude.
He sure is.
Yeah, I mean, he has been absolutely spectacular. On the season, he's at he's completing 67.9% of his passes.
Nice.
He's got 8 touchdowns, 657 yards. He's only got 2 picks. Yeah, man, he's out there. And if you looked at their schedule before week 1, you would have thought, okay, probably 1-2.
Mhm.
They're going to beat the Giants, but then they had the Niners and the Texans,
Mhm.
and like 3-0 is crazy with that schedule.
Mhm.
Yeah, because at some point their schedule is going to lighten up. I mean, I was looking at the Steelers' schedule earlier, and it's like their schedule the first half of the season is so cupcake
Mhm.
that they're going to have like their near 500 record like super quick because they started 3-0.
Right.
Now they're just going to coast. I mean, I'm not going to coast because they're not very good, but they're still going to have a lot of. They're going to get a bunch of wins because they're not playing anyone. So really interesting.
The Vikings have the Packers and Jets going into their bye week. Then they get the Lions coming out of their bye week. Then they're at the Rams, home Colts, at Jags, at Tennessee, at Chicago, home Cardinals, home Falcons, home Bears. Again, man, there's going to be a real chance for them to stack up a ton of wins here.
Yeah, I mean, and I was
Good
looking
for
at the
them.
same with Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh plays at the Colts,
Mhm.
then they play the Cowboys at home, at Raiders, then the Jets and Giants to finish before the bye week. So the
Mhm.
first 8 weeks of the season, I mean, 6-2 is sitting right there for them. 7-1 is sitting right there for them.
Yeah, man.
And then they come out of the break with the Commanders. You're like, okay, they got the Browns twice still. I don't know. Then it gets really difficult, and they're going to lose a whole bunch of games in a row, and we'll see if they can hold on and get that 500 record again.
That's the big difference in 3-0 teams, right? Buffalo could be 3-0 after tonight, but you just painted the picture perfectly. The Steelers are 3-0, but I'm looking at them sideways.
Oh yeah, yeah, but but we'll look at them sideways when they're 6-0.
All credit to the Steelers for winning the games.
Yeah,
I think that's an important part of this. You got to play the games that you have in front of you, and you got to win them. That's the point of the sport. How you do it doesn't matter. But when you start projecting out and what are these teams going to look like by the end of the year, I'm not buying the Steelers as a serious contender. I am very much, obviously, Kansas City 3-0. You're buying them as a serious contender. Minnesota, I think you have to buy them right now.
Yeah.
They're way too good at everything to think, oh, this is flash in the pan. This is fake. I can't get there. But anyways, Brock Purdy, as we get back to this Niners debacle against the Rams. He wasn't perfect yesterday. Thought he missed location on a couple of throws. I thought not throwing the deep ball to Ayuk late in the game where Ayuk got in behind the Rams defense. And it wasn't even like you needed to make a tight window deep throw. You just needed to get it in the air and let him run under it.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if that's Brock Purdy not trusting himself in that moment or not wanting to stop the clock or whatever it was. You gotta make that throw, man.
I think there's a possibility, like, he may have thought, like, maybe the safety was deking him.
It maybe.
Because the safety was turned one way, and you could see how he could have rotated around.
Maybe.
But if you would have gone over the top, the guy would have had way too far to travel.
It was there.
Yeah.
Sure.
No, I think so too.
But finishes the game 22 of 30, 292 yards, 3 touchdowns, made a couple of excellent throws. I went into Sunday with questions about how Brock Purdy could operate with this version of the 49ers offense. And the Rams defense isn't good, to be fully clear. But Brock Purdy cooked them in a way that I think a good quarterback should cook a bad defense. And if Ronnie Bell makes that catch down the right sideline, the stat line looks even better. And the 49ers are probably walking out with a win. And Brock Purdy and Juwan Jennings are the 2 huge stories from the day.
Oh, yeah.
So I know that there are going to be people who are like, oh, it's the Rams defense and he still sucks. And that's fine. For me, what I needed to see, I saw yesterday.
Yeah.
I don't have, we've talked so much about all the things that went wrong yesterday. Brock Purdy's performance was the very, very bottom of the list of things that I have to complain about. I thought he was awesome.
No, I think so too. And if Ronnie Bell would have caught that ball, what would we say, 31 yards, and that's without any run after the catch, so 31 yards, he'd be leading the league in passing yards on the season. He's only 9 behind Dak Prescott. And I feel like the last couple of weeks we could look at just really bad drops, really bad plays where if Ayuk catches a touchdown in week 1 in the corner of the end zone or the quick slant, Brock Purdy could already be at 1,000 yards passing through 3 weeks. And not only that, but Mason is what, second in the league in rushing?
Yeah.
Second in the league in rushing. He's 27 yards behind Saquon, who again, Saquon has been incredible to watch.
Yeah.
Like the revitalization of Saquon Barkley is just absolutely crazy.
Yeah, got him on a good team.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Amazing. Yeah, but you're worried like at 27, does he still have any juice left?
And he's got juice.
He does. He's
Boy.
got the juice.
Yeah, what a heck of a game for him. You mentioned Jordan Mason. I'm having a really hard time with the Jordan Mason thing because while he's been really freaking good,
Mm-hmm.
it's so clear the Niners are missing that explosive play element in their run game. His longest run of the year, I believe, is 24 yards.
It's 24 for sure.
Christian McCaffrey through 2 weeks last year had 3 runs longer than that.
Yeah.
And I think Jordan Mason has been really good. And I think the Niners can more than survive with him instead of Christian McCaffrey. But if he's not going to contribute in the passing game, and if he's not going to contribute as a receiver, I should say, he's done a nice job pass blocking, which is contributing in the passing game.
Yes.
If he's not going to contribute as a pass catcher, and he's not generating explosive plays in the run game, I think that's going to long term be a problem. And it's a big part of the reason that you look at Christian McCaffrey and go, man, he is going to be, this is why he's a difference maker. This is why Christian McCaffrey matters so much, is because the Niners just really miss those two things that he brings to the table.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't want to take anything away from how good Christian McCaffrey is.
Yeah.
I think McCaffrey is, one of the top 5 players in the NFL right now. And the 49ers are a much better team with him.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't mean that Jordan Mason shouldn't be on the field running like 8 to 10 rushing plays from here on out. I mean, he showed you how good he can be.
Mm-hmm.
He's again second in the league in rushing yards right now.
Mm-hmm.
2 huge 100-yard games already, and then 77 yards this last week, and he could have had more, but again, penalties took away a couple of yards here and there.
Yep.
I get the need for him to have the big play, but I also feel like right now the 49ers offense, teams are keying on taking away the middle of the field because they're so banged up, and because McCaffrey's not there, and because Debo's not there, and you're not nearly as tricky. I mean, you can't do an end around right now, and I don't know why. Cowing must just not be.
He must just be terrible in practice.
He must really not have like a head on his shoulders like early in his career where he's like figuring things out.
Yeah, for sure.
Because if not, like, why not run him around the edge? Because it limits what your offense is doing. And then Saubert as opposed to Kittle, I mean, there's a bit of a downgrade there. I mean, you're watching a guy who's not a pass catcher at all. Yeah. And I mean, it really, if you look at some of the positions that they're struggling with injuries, the replacements, because they are so good, because you got to pay a guy $30 million to not catch a bunch of passes, and you're paying another guy $35 million who can't seem to get to the quarterback anymore. Like, that's where you see it. You see it that you have this bad linebacker who can't track and is taking bad routes the whole time and gets a horrendous PI in a crucial moment of the game. It's because you can't pay the extra guy to, you can't pay someone better. And that's where depth comes into play. And it's why, again, your right tackle isn't great. You can't go out and get a better right tackle. You can't go get a better center because all your money's in your specialty players. Well, these dudes, they've got to step up and be there. And when you lose 2 or 3 of them, I mean, they're playing without three guys who make a ton of money that are in the top 10 in their position, the top paid running back, top 5 tight end, and then Debo's probably top 7 at this point, maybe 8 as far as receivers. That's a lot of money sitting on the sidelines.
Yeah. And I totally, just to be clear, once Christian McCaffrey's back, I very much advocate for Jordan Mason carries.
Oh yeah.
It's just right now, when I watch the Niners offense, it's like, man, that's just as good as he is, like, that's the one thing you would love to see is, hey, can you break a 40-yarder? Can you really just flip the field in the run game and not make everything so laborious offensively? But That's why Christian McCaffrey gets paid. That's why Christian McCaffrey matters so much. So,
not having that guy's big though, because in the last couple of years, Elijah Mitchell or Mostert, those guys had that big play capability. So when you didn't have your star, you still had a guy who could pop off for some crazy run, and you also had Debo who could get that crazy run.
Yep, and that's why I think they fed Guerrero 5 times yesterday for 19 yards, and he had the one carry that on the Kyle Juszczyk hold that we talked so much about. But he has that home run speed, and that's why I think they're trying to really get him integrated into the offense. Because even if he's not going to do between the tackle stuff, it's, hey, can you give him 5 shots a game to get to the edge and break a big run? That's what I really think you're going to start seeing with him.
I thought Shanahan showed a lot of faith in him too, because he went to him late.
Yes.
He went to him in a crucial time where I was like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing? And it's like, well, we got to give it to him at some point.
Yep.
We got to give him an opportunity at some point.
Man. All right. I want to get to this text you sent me yesterday. I have a couple of guys I want to cancel from the Niners. But you have somebody you want to cancel from the Titans.
Oh yeah, I'm so done watching Will Levis play. I mean, that dude is just not good at all. And I think we all got, like, he was fun. Like, oh, look, he's fun. Oh, no, he's not fun. He's bad.
He's fun in the bad way.
Well, I mean, he's got 2 pick sixes to start the season. Both of them were so egregious. Just horrendous plays. And you're just watching a quarterback who just, maybe there's some way that he's got something, but I don't know. And I'm also like, I like watching, going through and finding like the history of the game and where guys rank and all that stuff. Do you know how close DeAndre Hopkins is to being like one of the great wide receivers of all time? Like if he plays 2 more years and has roughly 1,000 yards in each year, he'll be in the top 10 wide receivers yards wise of all time. Like he'll pass, I think it's Isaac Bruce. Like he's right, or Torrey Holt, one of the two.
Yeah.
Like right at number 10.
He's been really good for a long time.
Yeah, he's been really good. And the fact that he just can't find that guy like in really crucial situations, and then he makes like some of the most bonehead plays where you just put your hands up and they pan to him and he takes his helmet off and like these quizzical looks. It's like, man, that was horrible. If you didn't see the cornerback just sitting on your out route
on that, on the pick six,
if you, like, everyone in America saw it, like, oh, he's not going to make that. Oh, bro.
Like as the ball was floating, it's like, oh, that's not good.
Yeah. And maybe it's just like my hatred for watching Daniel Jones play football that's causing this, because Daniel Jones is like the king of the pick six, but it's just so like, what is happening? Like the horrific plays where you actually have a shot in a game and then you do something so egregious to cost your team any chance. That's where I get frustrated with players.
Yeah. And with Levis, it's going to be interesting over these next few weeks, because you mentioned it last year. You watched and you went, man, he's got a little something.
Yeah.
And I can't decide if these are plays where, hey, you know what? He just needs to play more football.
Maybe.
These are just growing pains. So I'm interested to see how this goes over the next couple of weeks, because there's definitely a chance that these aren't just growing pains and he's just a player who, when things break down and you need your quarterback to have poise, and you need your quarterback to just not turn the ball over, to just make the right play. I think that's something that is so valuable with quarterback play that gets overlooked, is just not giving the ball away and just being willing to make the safe play. It's very clear Will Levis isn't doing that. And I don't know if that's something that he'll learn eventually or not, but right now it doesn't look good, because we have 3 weeks in a row where there's viral pictures of him doing something dumb on the internet.
Oh yeah. I mean, the pick six that he did that cost him the game against the Bears.
What is he?
So egregious.
Like backhanded, just floating it to nowhere.
Just so bad. So 2 picks, but he also 8 sacks. And if you're going to take 8 sacks for 56 yards, he's averaging 7 yards a sack.
Yeah, it's not like he's
A -7.
running right up near the line.
What are we doing, man? Yeah, he's just not good. And hey, look, there's no other option there, but
Not turning on a Viking or a Titans game anytime soon.
no, I'm not turning on. No, not anymore.
Will Levis is canceled by the insiders.
Yeah.
Congratulations to Will Levis. Ronnie Bell, obviously. Ronnie Bell might get canceled by the 49ers this week. The player that we've not talked a lot about, you brought him up a little bit ago, Devondre Campbell.
Oh my gosh.
I am finished watching Devondre Campbell play football. I didn't understand. I understood signing him. Like, yeah, you need a linebacker, he's a good veteran.
Just some depth.
You're missing Dre Greenlaw, okay. But then just handing him the starting. So in the Niners defense, in their base defense, there's the Mike linebacker, that's Fred Warner in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
There's the Will linebacker, which is a weak side linebacker. He's on the field for all 3 downs. And there's the Sam linebacker, the strong side linebacker, who's only on the field in base, like run situations, basically.
Got it.
The Sam linebacker's on the field like something like 15% of the time. It's not a huge position. But the Will linebacker is a 3-down player. That is Dre Greenlaw's spot, right? They signed Devondre Campbell to replace Dre Greenlaw, and that was it. Signed, sealed, delivered. There was no competition. There was never any question. There was never any, let's see what it looks like with D. Winters or Jalen Graham or Curtis Robinson. These are all backup linebackers who are still or not with the 49ers. No chances for those guys to secure that Will linebacker spot. It was just handed to Devondre Campbell, who's old and washed. And it was clear when he was in Green Bay. It's like, okay, maybe getting him Fred Warner makes it getting him next to Fred Warner helps a little bit. But dude, it is killing the 49ers right now. Dude, we can talk about the pass rush for sure. It needs to be better, no doubt. Leonard Floyd, 1 pressure in the last 2 games. That's not good enough. That's not going to cut it. Yetur Gross-Matos didn't do anything yesterday. He was one of their other defensive end signings. Didn't do anything yesterday.
Yep.
Nick Bosa at some point take over a game. I watched TJ Watt do it. I watched Myles Garrett do it. I watched Micah Parsons do it. I watched Max Crosby do it. I watched Aiden Hutchinson do it. I watch all these dudes do that. I need Nick Bosa to take over 1 game. 2019, I will say, Super Bowl 2019, he was awesome. Mm-hmm. He was so freaking good in that game. Didn't matter. But can I, like yesterday, on one of the last couple of drives for the Rams, can I get 97 getting the quarterback on the ground? Like, no doubt. All that stuff matters, for sure. Travarius Ward, we talked about his mistake.
Yeah.
I think Jair Brown's been out of position a couple times. Talanoa Hufanga's just coming back. But Devondre Campbell is so regularly 3 steps late on runs to the edge. He's getting hung up on blocks. He's late in coverage. He's getting dusted for a touchdown by Kyren Williams. It's just, he's not it. He has no juice. And the 49ers have been so good in that second level over the last few years, really since Dre Greenlaw and Fred Warner became that duo in the middle of the field.
It's more like the last 15 years of greatness in the middle of the field.
Yeah. No,
before then, it was like, it was Bowman.
Patrick Willis, Navarro Bowman. Yep.
Yeah, and Willis. Like,
yeah. And then they those 2 guys leave, and it's Fred Warner in 2018.
Yeah.
And Fred Warner's is awesome off the rip. Oh, and here comes Dre Greenlaw in 2019. And man, look at him. And it's that duo, right? And they just control. So all those easy throws you were seeing Matt Stafford get yesterday were because the Niners just couldn't cover in the second level. And those are the throws they've been so good at taking away. When now quarterback, has to hang on to it for an extra beat. Pass rush gets home. I know the pass rush matters so much, but dude, that inability right now to take away the middle of the field just because they lack the athleticism there is killing them.
No, I totally agree. That dude has no swivel in the hips at all.
No juice.
No, it is in line, and that's all he can do. And if you're not right in line with him,
nope,
he is not doing anything. I mean, that PI was just so bad,
egregious. It was terrible. We didn't even talk about it among the bad plays because I just don't expect Devondre Campbell to make that play.
Yeah, just such a bad play in such a crucial moment. Just like, man, turn your head. That's all you had to do. Turn your head.
You got flambéed by Colby Parkinson.
Yeah.
Colby Parkinson, you got dusted by. Yeah. Devondre Campbell's got to go, dog.
Yeah.
If the Niners are going to be serious with Dre Greenlaw out, they need more athleticism there. Would not shock me if D. Winters, once he's healthy, gets a crack at starting next to Fred Warner. We're a little bit late for a break. We're going to do that. We'll get around the NFL scoreboard a little bit. We got to recap Mad Props. Tons to do in the final segment coming up on the Insider, sponsored by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320 Sacramento Sports Leader. Okay. Is that computer on?
Oh, shoot.
Do that. I need to run to the restroom real quick. Go for it.
Hey, hit the light on the way.
Oh, yeah.
In the corner, they both just get washed.
Hey, guy. How are you?
Come on, little fella. I'll be right there, good people. Hello. Hey, I thought Stafford was really good, in all honesty. But that doesn't mean, like, he loses that game without any question if Ronnie Bell catches the ball. No, it's too early. It's too early to say that, Sal. I need to see where their wide receivers are after, like, the next 2 weeks to see if they can figure some stuff out. No, I say if, yeah, I get you, but a dude literally dropped a ball that was just in his hands, and if that's caught, then Matthew Stafford doesn't come back and have a fourth quarter, win. That's it. Oh, somebody just saying, we keep saying if. It's like, yeah,
Yeah, that's
There's
the
no-
discussion.
yeah. Yeah, Purdy's a really good player. He is. I mean, he's made some mistakes and he's not been perfect through 3 weeks, but yeah, he's a stud. I totally agree with this. It's never too early to fire a Bears coach. Totally agree. I get you were facing a really hungry team. You're a hungry team that would have lost the game if just a standard wide receiver catches a ball. I get you. I think both teams were hungry for a win.
How am I going to do this? I have
Talk
90
about-
seconds, so I'm going to toss this right now.
The neighbor's catch was like very similar to that. Man, that kid is a stud.
That body control
Yeah.
to get up and get around and then get the God, it was sick.
Yeah.
Oh. We're watching good players be good, dude.
Yeah. Well, I think Jennings went up and made that play too. I mean, that was it's a great catch. I don't know if it would have been a pick or not. Leezy, that Eagles Saints game was like watching paint dry. It just wasn't like an enjoyable brand. I'm so tired of all the field goals. So many field goals.
Too many cooks, too many cooks.
We have a long break.
Yeah, we got 30 seconds left. I'm just trying to clean up because there's a. I've got a workflow. Thing to figure out. All right, here we go.
Now, back to the Insiders with James Ham and Kyle Madsen, brought to you by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320.
I haven't even mentioned. Get in on the Elk Grove Kia talk line, 916-909-1320, 916-909-1320. Got about 10 minutes left. If you want to sound off on anything that happened around the NFL schedule this week, doesn't even have to be Niners or Raiders. You want to vent about something in the NFL, call the Elk Grove Kia talk line. That's 916-909-1320, 916-909-1320. I didn't print out the whole rundown. I'm a segment short.
We're missing. Oh.
Yeah. We were at 3 pages today. I only printed the first 2.
Oh, Kyle trying to save paper.
That's my bad. Saving trees. Hey, Jesse, are you watching? Can you hear me right now? I can't tell if he's talking to somebody or if he's eating. I wanted to get Jesse in here for Mad Props because he did Mad Props this week.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to go knock on the window. I'm going to go get. Oh, hey, is he looking? All right, he's going to come in here.
All right.
Jesse's going to come in for Mad Props. James was out last week, so I sent James the Mad Props screenshot and said, hey, make your picks. And you did expeditiously.
I just used your yellow highlighter
it was
on
smart.
the picture.
It was brilliant
circled,
by you.
Circled.
Yeah, it's brilliant. You got the message across and got it back quickly. Jesse, get in here. We're going to do some Mad Props. And since Jesse was here for you, I had him pick. And so for the first time this season, we had a guest picker. I'm going to have to decide how to do this standings wise.
Oh,
with the guest pickers.
All right.
But
we'll have to.
We'll get.
Maybe we just go off of win percentage.
Yeah, maybe that'll be the move. Jesse Tapia in the building, producer for D-Lo and KC.
What's up, everybody? My football team stinks.
I'm so sorry.
Dude, that was tough. Do not watch next Monday, by the way. They play the Titans.
Yeah.
Whatever else is going on.
It's Monday night, too.
Yeah, 4:30 p.m., I believe.
You know the answer? Ryan Tannehill against his former team. Think of the drama.
James, I'm desperate.
The drama.
I think Schefter said today they're looking. Options are Zach Wilson, Russell Wilson, or Dorian Thompson Robinson.
Yeah, DTR. Big fan of him.
Yeah, let's go Celtics.
When's Celtics Media Day?
think we can have from now. I'm gonna have Charlie send me out there.
Wild.
All right, let's get to Mad Props here.
It's time for Mad Props. 2 games, 2 props. Which number will he hire? That's for Kyle and James to decide. Here's Mad Props.
Yeah, so with no football, we do with no basketball, we do 2 football games. We went Niner game and Raider game. We make up 2 props. We pit them against each other, and we have to pick which number lands higher. So the first one, Juwan Jennings receiving yards or Raiders rushing yards. That was the Mad Prop. Jesse and James, you guys both went Juwan Jennings receiving yards.
Shout out Juwan Jennings. You want me in my fantasy game this week?
Shout out to you for starting him. I was no help to you when you asked, by the way. I'm so
yeah,
sorry.
you're kind of like, I don't know. I was like, all right, Kyle, well, that helps.
I didn't start. Dude, I got told by our fantasy expert to start Calvin Ridley over Juwan Jennings.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
1.9 points. Anyways, the Las Vegas Raiders continue to struggle rushing the football. 16 carries, 55 yards. Of course, Juwan Jennings, 175 receiving yards. An easy W for you guys there and a big-time L for me. 3 weeks in a row, we have a number that is bang on the number. Big shout-out to me for making these up. Fred Warner tackles or Brock Bowers targets. Jesse and I went Brock Bowers. James, you went Fred Warner. We had 4 apiece. Boys. Tough scene for Fred Warner.
Yeah, I was going to say, that doesn't sound too great for
No, one of the worst games Fred Warner's ever played. on Sunday in LA. But I'm not going to drag Fred Warner because he's usually.
To be honest, I feel like that's a win for the Brock Bowers pick right there. Fred Warner having 4 tackles is pretty insane.
Wait, what do you mean?
These those Brock Bowers targets and Fred Warner tackles, right?
Yeah, they were both number 4.
Yeah, I say give that to us. Like that's Fred having 4 tackles is a loss in itself right there.
No, it's a tie for sure. 49ers Rams total points or Jacoby Myers receiving yards. The final total in the 49ers Rams game, 51 points. Jacoby Myers eclipsed that with 62 receiving yards. Jesse and I took Jacoby Myers. James, you went 49ers Rams total points. Jesse and I get the W on that one.
I was done in by Aiden O'Connell stepping on the field. As soon as he stepped on the field, Jacoby Myers. Hey, where's my security blanket? Boom, boom, boom.
You also might have been done in by a couple of drop passes, but
yeah,
next one we had Eric Saubert, who started for George Kittle. Eric Saubert catches or Max Crosby sacks. Eric Saubert just 2 catches. I had him in this one. You guys went Max Crosby. Max Crosby shut out by the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Raiders.
Ugh, that's tough.
It's horrible.
Is Max Crosby a product of Malcolm Kuntz? Maybe.
Oh.
Let's talk about him.
Too early to tell. Next one, we had Brock Purdy pass attempts or Raiders total points. I thought the Raiders would score on the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah, like I said,
tough scene for me.
That was tough from the Raiders. I'll never trust you guys again.
Jesse and James, you guys both went Brock Purdy pass attempts. Brock Purdy, 30 pass attempts, 22 points for the Raiders. You guys get the W there. A big fat L for me. And the last one. It all comes down to this. We're all tied up. Jake Moody field goals or Raiders touchdowns allowed. Jesse and I both thought Jake Moody would kick a couple field goals and Panthers might score a couple touchdowns, but we like Jake Moody to boot the ball through the uprights more times than the Raiders allow touchdowns. Alas, the Raiders allow 4 touchdowns. 4 touchdowns. 4 touchdowns. Just 1 field goal for Jake Moody. Could have been 2. Still would have fallen short. James, you get the W, and you and Jesse tie for the week. You guys both finish it 3-2-1. I am 2-3-1. So for the season, James, you are 8-7-3. I'm 9-6-3, and our guest picker 3-2-1.
There we go. Shout out to the guest pickers, whoever it may be.
It's probably just going to be you most of the time.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like maybe you guys have Faraz on a Friday, do it or something. I don't know.
That might be fun.
Oh well. Also, if we get Joe, whoever. Maybe we.
Maybe Joe. I'm gonna need Joe to run the segment though. This is much easier when there's a producer running the segment, and I'm not trying to do all of it.
Oh yeah. I can imagine.
No, so it'll probably be Jesse most of the time. We might just turn guest picker into Jess picker.
That works.
Oh,
yeah.
There it is.
All right. Well, and guys, enjoy you guys' football season. I'll see you guys next time.
Are you just punting on the Dolphins?
It's
just over.
It's not. It's ask me when Tua comes back.
And they're 0-6.
That's the thing. Like I don't know. Like we'll see when Tua's back or whatever. That was disgusting. Skylar Thompson. Like you've been the backup for 3 years, and that's what you did.
Can we stop sharing the photo of Braxton Berrios' ass? By the way.
Yeah, I'm not really.
I'm so uncomfortable with that. Did you see this?
I missed it.
It was pretty gross.
Braxton Berrios got tackled and his pants came it wasn't like, a little bit.
Oh,
it was the whole hairy thing.
Yes.
And people are posting, it's like, wow, what
I don't know why you guys keep retweeting that and all that. Like, stop, that's gross.
It's disgusting. I don't want to see this.
Oh, that's not good.
Is that funny in the moment? Like, oh my God, his pants fell down. Like, yeah, I don't need to see the still image. It's disgusting. Wow. Anyways, I'm sorry, Jesse.
Chester DeRozan Jackson. She puts that message in the chat. The Dolphins punted on Jesse. I think so. They punted on me.
Well, yeah, they can't score, so
that's tough.
Makes sense that they're punting.
Yeah. Shout out to the Seahawks, I guess. Whatever.
No.
Whatever.
Thanks, Jesse. Jesse Tapia. You can hear him from noon to 4 with D'Lo and KC. He is our guest picker. I think I'm just going to have Jesse be the guest picker all year.
Okay.
The bit is going to be that it's a guest picker, but it's always going to be Jesse.
Okay.
That's going to be the running bit. Just so everybody's in on it.
I'm here for it.
We talked a little bit about the Vikings-Texans game. Let's rip through these games real quick. Giants-Browns. Anything from that one?
Yeah, Neighbors.
Malik Neighbors is good.
And
also, Deshaun Watson stinks, bro.
He's just horrible.
And it sucks for the Browns that they're committed to him, but you know what? You reap what you sow, you know?
Yeah.
Colts-Bears.
Oh, it's just hideous football.
So bad. I got nothing for you.
Yeah, that bad quarterback play exemplified, just like young, inexperienced quarterback play is just everywhere in the league right now. And that game right there was just like, oh no.
Vikings, Texans, we talked about this earlier. Vikings are good, man.
Yeah, they might be the team right now that's playing the best in the NFL.
I called Kevin O'Connell a top 5 coach last week, and I feel so good about it right now.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I think my top 5, Andy Reid, in no order.
Yeah.
Andy Reid, Sean McVay, Kevin O'Connell, Matt LaFleur. Last week I said Kyle Shanahan. But I'm not, I don't know how great I feel about that.
Yeah.
It's gotta be like Mike Tomlin's got to go there now, right?
I don't know.
Steelers at 3-0.
They haven't played anybody. I don't know. Their schedule's light. I mean,
I feel really good about that top 4 though.
When they're like 7-1, I still can be like,
Sean McDermott, maybe?
I don't know. I think you still have to have Shanahan there. I mean, he just had
I guess the track record's good enough.
His number 3 wide receiver just had 11 catches for 175 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
His backup running back is second in the NFL. And
if you want to throw Dan, I don't hate it if you want to throw Dan Campbell there.
Yeah.
I don't hate it if you want to put John Harbaugh in there.
Okay. Yeah, I really like John Harbaugh.
I think that's all. I think
he's a strong coach.
I think that's it right now. But I feel really good about the Kevin O'Connell, Matt LaFleur top 5. I feel so freaking good about that.
Yeah.
Eagles beat the Saints 15-12. Classic close game that wasn't a good game.
No, it's just like ugly. It's just horrible football.
Yeah. I think both teams are better than what they were yesterday. I just think that was 2 teams not being great.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I was a little worried about, whether Carr would hold up to the defensive, the Philly defense. But then like we went back to week 1 where Philly's defense was just non-existent. And we got another good game there with Philly where Philly was in like a back and forth game. But the whole time you're thinking this isn't really sustainable or good football at all.
Yeah.
And, what was that against? Let's see. The Green Bay game. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. I expected more out of the Saints.
Yeah, I did too. I didn't think they were going to score 40 points a game all year. But more than 12. And you said it, dude. This is the problem with Derek Carr.
Yeah.
Did anyone in America think that he was leading a game-winning touchdown drive there?
No.
I don't even think the most ardent Derek Carr fan was confident in that.
Yeah.
And it ends on a not so great interception. Steelers Chargers. I don't want to say anything about this game. I have nothing. Steelers 20, Chargers 10. Justin Fields is 3-0. Salute to Justin Fields. From the box score, it looks like he wasn't bad yesterday. I know Justin Herbert's dealing with an injury.
It feels like Herbert is just going to continuously have injury problems. Like he looks like a guy who maybe, you have some quarterbacks that are just so tough, and then other guys are like, I don't know.
Yeah. I'm going to skip a bunch of these as we're getting ready for the handoff. Lions 20, Cardinals 13. This to me, the Cardinals are legit. I think the Cardinals are good.
I think they are too.
Or at least going to be hard to beat.
Yeah. They're going to fight every game. And I kind of felt like that's who they were last year too, early on. They were like, they weren't good and they kept losing, but they at least put up a good fight.
Yeah.
And I think this year, like they have a mentality, like we've talked about, like the Memphis Grizzlies mentality where, they're always going to make you play it out. Yeah.
Welcome in Damian Barling for the handoff. D'Lo and KC. Just D'Lo today, right?
Just D'Lo today.
Just D'Lo, no KC today. Coming up in about 10
Running
minutes.
From the smoke.
I can't say anything because I had COVID the day after the Super Bowl, so I can't make those jokes. But ugly yesterday from the 49ers.
Yeah. This is tough, man. Like there's a lot to kind of pick apart here. They looked brilliant the first 14 minutes of the game.
Man.
Like just surgical. And man, that went to hell really quickly. And like I don't think there's anything to be like overly concerned about except the defense. Like the fact that what felt like their strongest suit for years now all of a sudden looks like hey, what's going on here?
Yeah.
And the numbers kind of support that. So it's early. Obviously, Dre Greenlaw's not there. I heard you last night on 95.7 and a little bit with Chris Biederman on Candlestick Chronicles talking about Nick Bosa. And Nick Bosa, he's got to make a bit more of an impact. But yeah, that's tough, man. When you have a double-digit lead with, what was it, 6, 7, 8 minutes left?
Less than half a quarter.
Losing's tough, man.
Losing,
there's no scenario where losing that game is okay.
Nope.
And we were talking about it on Sports Sunday last night. Not one thing happens to cause you to lose a double-digit lead in the fourth quarter. Like a series of things happens, which means something happens from your defense. And in the 49ers case, something happens from your special teams. And in their 49ers case, something happened with their offense. Like there was just a domino effect of, the wheels falling off for them. When it felt like when they first got the ball, they're in good shape. They're moving the ball down the field. Jordan Mason picks up a first down. And then I think they picked up a penalty, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it's a Kyle Juszczyk hold.
And that set up a 1st and 20.
Yeah.
Yeah. That
took him out of field goal range.
And then you had the missed pass, the dropped pass, I should say, by Ronnie Bell. So
tough look.
Stuff. Yeah.
That's where it felt like the fake punt in the second quarter. It felt like the Rams got that, and everything you said it. The Niners were just surgical the first 14 minutes, first 15 plus, because that happened like halfway through the second quarter.
Yeah,
and then the Rams pick up that 4th and 6, and it was like the Niners all of a sudden couldn't get a stop the rest of the way.
So refresh my memory, because you're better with this. They opened up the second half. They opened up the second quarter. I think they were 3 and out on each side. Then that fake punt, was that a part of the 87-yard?
Yeah, that 16 was plays, 87 yards.
That was very much a, all right, we got a little something here.
Yep.
And they just stayed there.
And the frustrating thing is, you look at the box score, and the every number says, hey, the 49ers should have won this game.
Yeah.
By a lot.
Matthew Stafford was good yesterday, but it wasn't like, man, he is just torching these dudes with. No, he was sitting back in the pocket and he's going, oh, Colby Parkins is wide open. Here's this. There's Tyler Johnson over the middle. This is easy.
Yeah.
It's just plugging their way down the field, and there was never a ton of resistance when they needed it. And that's kind of been the hallmark of the 49ers defense for the last few years. It's like, man, they need to stop. They're going to get one.
Yeah, the Shavarius Ward blown coverage was horrible.
Yeah.
And then the PI on
Adam.
Yeah. Yeah. And on the linebacker PI.
Oh, on Devondre Campbell.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Just horrible. Just like inexcusable. Their defensive backfield's a mess, and they're not getting any pressure on the quarterback. They've got some things to figure out, but I also think that they're still one of the better teams in football. They're not that far away.
Yeah, I'm starting to wonder if their offense is one of the better offenses in football, and we still have some things to figure out on the defensive end.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, as long as I got 54 over there, I'm going to feel pretty good. But, and he was pretty critical of his team last night. But you said on Friday, Kyle, they're not getting to the quarterback. So it wasn't just yesterday that they didn't get to Matt Stafford. It's so far in this first 3 weeks of the season that they're not getting the quarterbacks.
Nope.
And because of that, that's what they did so well last year that minimized a lot of concern about the secondary. The quicker you get to the quarterback, I think you know what I mean by this. The quicker you get to quarterback, the less your secondary has to work.
Right.
It's a far less of a concern when you have to, guard your man for 2.5 to 3 seconds versus 4.5 to 5.
Right.
And that is a glaring miss spot for the San Francisco 49ers right now.
Yeah.
Glaring.
Yeah. They have to fundamentally change what they're doing defensively, because you're relying on a defensive line to get pressure. It's like, okay, well, that's not working. So whatever's happening in the back end has to be different, because right now it's not working. And that goes to, we were talking about Devondre Campbell and the importance of the second level of that.
They have to find ways to scheme Bosa available.
That he just has to be more impactful, man. Like, he's not bad. That's the thing. He's not playing poorly, but he's playing like a pretty good defensive end.
But so I recognize like TJ Watt just seems to kill it on a day-to-day basis.
Yes.
Right. But how much of that is because of what the Steelers are doing versus what TJ Watt is doing.
Sure.
Like everyone game plans for Nick Bosa.
Mhm.
Every single football team the 49ers play game plan for Nick Bosa. Nick Sorensen, Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch, for God's sake, somebody needs to come up with a plan to counter that and allow Nick Bosa to get a little freedom and get moving there, because they're game planning for him and it's working.
Yeah.
They're 3 for 3 this year.
Getting freedom is one of Nick Bosa's very favorite things, I hear. D-Lo and KC coming up next.
Yeah.
1320. James and I will be back tomorrow with the Insiders, sponsored by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320, Sacramento Sports Editor. Bye. See you guys.
Terrific line.
See you, Fred.
Absolutely.